I want to talk about the art of the board resume and the cover letter, because these are the areas where you can truly differentiate from the rest of the market. I've mentioned to you in my previous videos how competitive the landscape now is. There are literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of executives that want to serve in the boardroom. Last year we conducted dozens and dozens of board search assignments, and that resulted in me coming into contact with literally thousands of board resumes. And I've got to say that the standard was incredibly low. Now, what that says to me is there's a huge opportunity for people who really want to put the emphasis on having the right documentation, perfecting your board documents so that you can secure board appointments and secure a meeting to get in the door for a conversation. And keep in mind that that is the primary purpose of a board resume and a cover letter, is to get you in the door for the conversations, get you in the door for serious consideration. Now, there's a huge difference between board resumes and traditional resumes, executive resumes. And most of you might be starting out and you've got a whole heap of executive experience that you need to try and showcase, but you need to put the emphasis on what would be of interest to the board of directors. So the board is fundamentally interested in board strategy, managing risks in business, and they're looking for your expertise where that's concerned, and they're looking for your knowledge around good governance practices and how you're going to bring that value proposition to the table. So you need to really get clear on how you're going to structure a really professional and powerful board resume. And the first page is kind of the money shot. It's the most important part of the document because you want to showcase any obvious board experience that you have. You want to really capture that unique value proposition. You want to capture any formal credentials that you have that you're bringing to the table. And you really want to highlight how you have interacted with boards in the past, whether it be through delivering board papers, influencing board decisions, serving on committees, helping guide organisations either through that business strategy or risk component. So the documentation is really important. And for many of you, you've got maybe 20 plus years work experience that we have to try and capture in a compelling document. And I would typically expect a board resume to be about 3 to 4 pages in length. I don't subscribe to the 2-page succinct American style of resume. It just doesn't cut it in the Australian market. You've got a little bit more latitude here to have at least a few pages of content to showcase your experience, but you really have to get this information correctly captured. Now, one of the things that's often missing on a lot of board resumes is the referees, who the champions are, who's vouching for you. Go on the front foot. You must capture this information because so much of this is down to reputation, who's vouching for you, who's going into bat for you. It has a big bearing on whether you get considered for roles. So if you've got quality referees, you would always be showcasing them on the resume. And conversely, if you don't, I've got to be honest with you, as a headhunter, I think, well, if after all these years of working, you don't have one person that you can put on the resume who's a bit of a superstar, who's going to vouch for you, that's a big red flag for me. So this concept of referees on request is a huge missed opportunity because for most of you, you're battling to get in the door. So you need to put all your bells and whistles on the table with your board resume. It has to be perfect. It has to be crisp, appealing, has to be well presented. Don't try and go alone with these documents and get professional help. Make sure that it's really highlighting your governance experience, your leadership experience, and your strategic impact. The other element is the underutilization of a board cover letter. And I cannot tell you how many people are so stupid. I don't mean to be derogatory, but it really does get my goat. People will say to me, oh, well, I couldn't upload a cover letter. There wasn't an opportunity to upload a cover letter, so hence I didn't submit a cover letter. Well, okay, let me tell you a few facts of life. You can PDF a cover letter to your resume That is my preferred advice here, so that these two documents don't get separated. You need to present a complete application. An application is the cover letter and the resume together. Now, if you're going to sit there and say to me you don't understand that you can PDF documents together to create an application, you're a little bit behind the technology 8-ball. You need to think about how you are creating this great first impression. Now, the science is that people make snap-second decisions about whether or not they're going to meet with you if you've got a human being reading this document. But this is the challenge. Most of these documents now are going through an artificial intelligence process. That includes documents on LinkedIn. So if you're applying for roles on LinkedIn or Seek, these platforms now have incredible AI processes that are underpinning, and they're scanning your letter for keywords, so they're aligning it with whatever the AI bias is, and you may find that there's even sort of, with the brief, the job description, that there were clues, if you like, as to what you needed to address. So it's really important that you embrace technology, and this is where it's a bit of art and a bit of science. We've got to be able to capture your brand, your personal story, your journey, what you're bringing to the board of directors, but we need to also be aware of the technology paradigm. You have to draft cover letters and you have to tailor resumes to specific opportunities. And again, this is where the amateur hour comes into the fray. Too many people try and use one document to fit every single application, and that's just not possible. It's just not able to be done. So you really have to spend the time to tailor, to customize, to take certain information out. And so what you might have is a master document which has all the key content put together, and you might be able to edit that really quickly by taking certain information out. And, I would be using my ChatGPT tools. Let's not ignore the technology, but you must have your own thought leadership going into the equation to start with. If you are using AI tools, you're going to end up with a form style letter, which is very pedestrian, very basic, and most people will be able to spot that you've used those tools. You have to be able to use the technology so that it's seamless, that it is your voice coming through in the brand, in the documentation. Now, this again is this huge opportunity because so many people get this wrong. So many people don't want to be bothered making the investment to get the right documentation. It's not cheap to go and get a board resume put together because it's a highly consultative process. But it's the ticket to ride. It's the crucial piece of the equation. So as an exercise, I want you to review your current resume. I want you to really think about that unique value proposition. Is it being captured? Would you secure an interview? Now, a word of caution, if you like, a word of advice. If you give this document to 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different opinions. If you give it to a search firm, they're going to be highly critical of the document. They're going to tell you need to do this and that. And increasingly, we find that the search firms really do put a lot of pressure on clients to rewrite the document to suit them and to suit their client. And I understand that, but it can be quite frustrating and it can make you quite confused because your document is suddenly now being picked apart and they're saying, well, do this and do that and put this on the first page and I'm not happy with this, and etc., etc. And you have to take all of that with a grain of salt because keep in mind the fundamentals. Did that document secure you a conversation or a meeting with that search firm? So if you have got through the door, that is proof that that document did the trick. Now, they might be criticizing it or they might be asking you to rewrite it. Go with the flow. Try and meet their requirements as much as possible. But remember that the document worked and don't second guess yourself. So we've got to, get to a point that your document is consistently getting you in the door for meaningful meetings. If that is occurring, you have nailed the brief. And if you continue to tailor and customize for each and every application, you are going to stand out from the crowd and you're going to get a better strike rate overall for these opportunities.